see property tax. Okay, next time when one of your MLA comes to you and say, 100 square yard के नीचे उनको property tax नहीं देना, he's not doing any benefit to you, right? He's basically not giving any infrastructure and signing that off for your future generations, because when there is no money that's been asked, there's no money that's been invested. So that $17 per capita, the trajectory over the next 4 to 5 years is going to get reduced. The fundament of borrowing is basically that has been, persuaded to developing countries' economy. We have been tend to give options to borrow. When you can't pay taxes because you're not having that income, they sell you this thing called green bond, which is an absolute phenomena of raising capital by portraying some project would have benefit on climate funds. In reality, it should be just capital funded, not having debt funded. Some sources. I'm going to just talk about one last thing. We all have this very big fascination of using this 74th Amendment, 73rd Amendment, right? In reality, even if that happens, which has already happened in my way, everybody has given the authority to the local bodies, which is the municipal corporations, to actually, cast and raise your own revenue finances. They usually ask revenues from you by asking property tax, pay up for your water bills, pay up for your electricity bills, pay up for garbage cleaning bills, but nobody pays it. The municipal corporation also hesitant to charge it, but it's already there. You can't have a better 74th where the local governments are empowered to raise their own finances, but it's just the ability to enforce it, and that's where is the failure. So the next time when someone tells you that 74th Amendment अभी तक नहीं हुआ, say हो गया है, ये 4 चीजों में से तुम कितना पैसा लेके आते हो? So we are a population of about 25 lakh to 30 lakh, right? Even if we all of us, pay about 10 rupees as the garbage bill per day, okay? Take 15 lakh out, right? We would be making about 1.5 CR per day in this city. 10 रुपए तो हम दे ही सकते हैं ना garbage के लिए, but we don't charge it, right? We drink more water than we waste, but we never pay for it. Our volumetric payment for average is about 25 rupees per household. So when we all don't pay, the cities end up having no finances. So I've now been able to well establish that the sources of finances is not something that a debt would come in, but this is where we get. I did a small study to understand what is the own source of revenue. For Swachh Bharat or other places, the government of India gives some money. In the past 25-30 years, since we all said that we started focusing on urbanization, in government terms, is the action that we get in development of urban infrastructure. That's what is basically focus of urbanization in government terms, which is called intergovernment fiscal transfers. JNURM, Rajiv Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, is basically financing capital infrastructure in the cities. Why does federal government has to do it? Because federal government basically takes a share of revenues from the state. Since we now have the GST implemented, state collects a handful amount of GST. Figure about 40% of that goes to the central government, and central government then passes back some of them as intergovernment fiscal transfers. And others they say, अच्छा अभी तुमको टैक्स नहीं दूंगा, तुमको ये मैं 3-4 schemes चला रहा हूँ, इसके अंदर तुम बहुत सारे काम करो. Which is also important because it lets the cities reform. Governance reforms. What is changing now, if you find, the total revenue of all the ULBs in India are less than 1.5 crores. That's about $16 billion, which is 1% of India's GDP. Now we keep on saying the GDP of India is all going to come from the urban sectors, right? So urbanization is going to drive the GDP. But how much are we actually investing back? Our spending is not even 1%, right? So this is largely the potential response of development. Unlocking is happening. You will find that Amrut, GNDU, SCM, PMAY. It's a big number spending, right? But if you actually do the math and say, अच्छा ये सब total fix करने के लिए कितना पैसा जाएगा? We're only spending about 13 to 14%. What we are not having is 81% of investment, which we basically say we'll either rely on debt. When we say ADB, World Bank and others, they will just fund it. but वो वही फंड करेंगे जिसमें से पैसा वापस आएगा, right? For the rest of the dirty infrastructure development, where we don't charge, if you don't charge for water sewerage, you basically don't end up getting executions for that. So, what is going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years? This is what I will, persuade all of you to read 15th Finance Commission. It's what yesterday Pankaj Baba sir also said, and I think others will also agree. There is a design in which the governments work. One of the design is where they say, listen, hire urban planners, promote urban planning, and then we will give you some money. So there are outcome-oriented results and payments. That is the shift that will happen in the next 4 to 5 years, which is the biggest shift that is going to happen from how the Indian government was funding cities in development. And that's what he said yesterday, if you heard him very carefully. Once you hire these planners, we will give you money. It's not the same thing. ये लो पैसा पकड़ो और सड़क बना दो. ये लो पैसा पकड़ो और urban planners ले लो. Now the conversation is you do that, फिर मैं तेरे को पैसे देता हूँ. तुम अभी अपना मैकेनिकल क्रैक करो, फिर तुमको मैं बुलेट ला के दूंगा तुम्हारे एडमिशन पे. That's what the Papa is doing to the cities here. So this is called the Outcome Oriented Reforms Program. This was very successfully delivered in South Africa. But what it does not encourage is this lack of capacities within the city. How do you prioritize? We've got so many civil servants here who actually prioritize on behalf of urban planners कि ये करना है, ऐसे इसको पहले करो, रोड पहले बनाओ, वो बाद में shouldering दौर में करेंगे. But that's where I think emphasis has to be required. So this is what I'm saying, the vertical and the shortfall of funding. What I want to also come now is this conditionality and performance-based grant system. This is largely being tested in South Africa. What we see today continuously, we should understand.
2 minutes.
2 minutes more? Okay. So my carbon footprint would be very, very important. Coming 400 kilometers and speaking for 10 minutes.
You are allowed to speak only for 15 minutes.
I would want to now emphasize on how do cities actually raise their own sources of financing, and you'll see some of these means already here. You have to charge for facility, and you have to charge facility for significant discounts that you would give for people who don't have either access to it or don't have ability to pay for it. This charging and discounting all through the city would not work. This whole thing of testing, having smart meters, some pay and some don't pay at all, that's a function that has to reduce if we really want cities being able to invest back into development. These are some of the areas you would see. You need a license to start a new business, you've got to pay for it, and I think there is some discounts in city share space, give informal people to do it. I know the conversation would come about that anybody would in India would now put a shop and then start selling things on the road. That's fine, because he knows business better than what we know, because he knows that would be sold there. So make these compounding areas where you would have informal sector, and this is what you as planners have to think when you actually put up land uses. Okay, and you have to think about this when you're actually putting land use. Non-conformity of land use is something that's been sold for a very long time in this country. There is nothing called non-conformity of land uses, right? The only thing is that military के साथ ये नहीं रह सकते. क्यों नहीं रह सकता? सभी रह सकते हैं. You can put a stadium in military. They can have all the assets, but you will have non-conformity. You got to stop it. I'm just putting some measuring around it. One last thing that I would urge all of you is that when you put master plans, look at the unlocking property of each land use. Define what that land use can actually unlock in this land value, rather than just looking at the volume that would be in this, the template of 10% roads, 20% open. This is where you would be able to get ahead of the real estate market. They would not have to come to you and say, कि आप हमारा land use change कर दो. You have thought it through. You know that the land will actually unlock its property here where I'm drawing it, rather than someone from a developer coming and telling him that this is how you unlock it. I will take a pause. It will be great to take some questions, but as moderator would ask me, I will take pause here. That's it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Harpreet. Actually, having eaten this food in Amritsar for last 2 days, I was very lazy to get up in the morning. and I was thinking that I will just sit and talk. But he made such important points that for all of us as an urban planning community to look at. One area where all of us have to look at, we are talking about transition, urban transition, transformation, climate investment. One thing we as an urban planning community. Now, what is the land value capturing of nature-based solution? When you go to any hotel, I'll give you an example in Ahmedabad, some planners have taken up this riverfront. The moment that the government is spending close to 1200 crores of infrastructure just making the waterfront. And what are the sources of earning? None, except for a little bit. The moment you want to do a ticketing, the local body will oppose, or some boating of 5 rupees and 10 rupees. But who is getting money out of this? The just outside of the road of riverfront, imagine all the apartments and private development is coming. And what are the names of those real estate properties? Can you guess? Riverview, Greenview, XYZ View. Everybody else is making money except for the local government. And this is what we as an urban planning community has to learn, that the moment we enter, draw a line, we are entering into a land and real estate market, either in form of a park, nature-based solution. And so far in planning school, we only think about the investment. Rarely we think of how that investment can be brought back. So it's an excellent presentation by Harpreet, and thanks for making this kind of profound points that we as a urban planning community, if you really are serious about urban transformation, then from our outlook of looking at investment, we also start looking at how this can come up. And his statistics are really, really astounding. Overall, on urban local bodies, per capita investment is close to only $17, and on the higher cities about $130, and the lower order cities like Jhumri Talaya and small medium, it is less than about $1 or $4. With this kind of investment, we cannot dream our cities to getting transformed. So one big round of applause for him, and I know 15 minutes is not enough, and I would strongly recommend the university to have a 1 hour detailed dialogue with him, this session for them. So now I will invite the next speaker for their presentation. Thank you. So the next speaker, Vinod. Okay. So next speaker is Vinod. He's talking about from commuters to communities, TOD policies in urban revitalization. Took 20 minutes.
Thank you. Sorry for that.
No, it was really interesting.
So good morning all. Hello. Harpreet sir has already set the stage, and he has already explained us about the rate of urbanization that we have, and challenges that we may face in future. So taking forward this similar topic but in another direction, I would like to talk about the transit oriented development and its role in managing the urbanization that we are having nowadays. So transit oriented development is an approach to transport and land use planning that focuses on integration of various transport networks with high density mixed use developments around it. So there is a various approaches presented by many theorists. So TOD become popular planning concept in recent years. However, it is not a new concept. The roots of TOD can be found in Garden City movement in late 19th and early 20th century. So in 1960s and 70s, urban theorists and planners advocate for compact mixed-use developments centered around transit stations. So TOD become a fixture of modern planning when Peter Calthorpe published the new American metropolis in 1993, and after that it became a very popular concept of urban developments. So as far as India is concerned, TOD policy in India can be traced in early 20s with the implementation of Delhi Metro in 2002. It further strengthened at policy level. In 2007, the National Urban Transport Policy was introduced by Ministry of Urban Development, and whereas in 2014, National Transit Oriented Policy has been introduced by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in India. So Delhi is one of the leading city to implement TOD policy in its master plan, aiming to create sustainable and well-connected communities around the transit nodes. So these are the basically different transit nodes on or influence zones that DDA has proposed along the different corridors, metro corridors. So now important part is TOD is a smart growth and new urbanism, which is gaining popularity in India, not only in India but also overseas. It advocates for high density developments of urban areas. However, we have to think that almost all Indian cities already have high density, and adding this further density, by adding this further additional FAR, we are adding further density, and then how to take advantage of it, that is the biggest question that we have to think about. Further, can existing infrastructure of the cities are able to take the burden of this additional FAR, that we have to think. A major threat of TOD is gentrification. And we need to see how to deal with it. Creating equitable TOD is another major challenge, because benefiting all the layers of the society through this TOD policy is again another challenge that sometimes some layers of the society may get left out. If not planned properly, then TOD development can turn into just TAD, that is transit adjacent developments. That means developments are around the transit nodes, but they are not able to take advantage of it. So again, that is another challenge that we have to think about. So aim of this study was is to understand the probable TOD methodology to be employed to make strong integration of not only transport network, but at the same time it should achieve sustainable and equitable growth of the city. So as a planner, all of us are aware that different hierarchy of the plans that we follow, like maybe master plan, zonal plan, sub-zonal plan, and sector level plan, maybe local area plan. But as far as TOD is concerned, we do not follow any that kind of hierarchy. Most of the cities are wherever TOD policy is proposed, they are proposed for the node area and not at lower or higher scale. So TOD policy need to operate at various scales, from regional level to corridor level and to individual station and local area level. For example, this is the map of Delhi showing all the transport networks of metro, RRTS, and one small rapid metro. You can see here, cursor is not visible. So in regions like NCR, which includes multiple transit corridors and networks like Delhi Metro, rail regional level visions can be established, and comprehensive policies can be framed at corridor level. Each corridor contains multiple TOD zones and typically centered around stations. So basically, as we can see here, there are many metro lines, and they are also integrated with the rapid transit network. So if we frame the policy at larger level, considering all the networks and their important features, then obviously we can have an integrated growth. So corridor at the corridor level planning, it is important to integrate the development plan and policy framework such that it synchronizes the whole corridor. It can boost the development by sharing available social and physical infrastructure. Another important factor is equitable transit-oriented development. That means inclusive approach is integral part of the TOD policy, and as per Peter Calthorpe, affordable housing must start with the affordable neighborhoods. But paradoxically, across the world, transit-oriented development corridors frequently undergo gentrification as TOD developments elevate the real estate prices. So to deal with this, equitable transit-oriented development is required, which is on one hand should provide compact and mixed-use development, and on other hand, it should provide employment opportunities and also residential facilities to last social layer of the society. Delhi was witnessed steep rise in population in last few decades, and city has expanded horizontally rather than vertically because Delhi has height restrictions. So obviously whatever developments are happening, they are happening horizontally. So city has grown horizontally. Eventually travel distances have increased, and low density developments are coming up. So robust commuting facilities and integration of all the transport networks are important. Again, housing is one of the major challenges. Like Delhi witnessing huge housing demand as around 18 lakhs residents living in slums and around 23.3 lakh individuals fall below poverty level. So transport network and housing facilities, these are two important challenges that Delhi is facing. So to overcome these challenges, DD has proposed transit-oriented development policy in Delhi, and they made it part of the recently amended Delhi Master Plan MPD 2021, and the primary goal was to reduce vehicle dependency and increase the walkability in the neighborhood area. So they have proposed many important elements in their policy, like about 500-meter wide belt on both the sides of the metro network and MRTS corridor are designated as an influence zone to bring the affordability and provide the housing for EWS category or other socially or economically weaker sections of the society. Mandatory mixed land use has been proposed for the sustainable growth. So in each zone, depending upon the main land use, they have mixed it with the other. Like if residential land use is there, then obviously they have made it compulsory that there should be 5% commercial and 10% community use should be there. So the DDA has proposed the TOD policy, and that policy is quite comprehensive. However, it is facing challenges such as it is restrictive in terms of participation by all the stakeholders, and it's lacking in actual implementation of the policy. Like the TOD policy framework is designed for implementation at node level only, and they have not thought the policy at corridor level. That is one important challenge. And secondly, same set of policy is proposed for all the nodes without realizing that there may be a special consideration that we have to take in mind, like at some node there may be heritage building of heritage importance, maybe ecologically sensitive area, or maybe CBD. So considering these parameters, we may have to propose different set of policies that is lacking in current conditions. Again, policy do not give any direction about affordability, like how to make this scheme affordable. So there is no clarity about it. Policy doesn't give any framework or direction to protect the residents from future inflation. Policy also silent about last mile connectivity, though it is written in their manifesto, but there is no clear-cut direction or guidance about it. And policy do not cover the pricing control, which is again major cause of the gentrification. So to conclude, I would say TOD policy proposed by DDA is quite comprehensive, but they are lacking clarity about two important factors, that how to implement that policy at different node levels, and also how to bring the equitability in the while implementation of the policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinod. It's an excellent paper, and the title of the paper is very, very interesting. From whenever we are looking at transit-oriented development, we are only looking at the perspective of commuters and not the communities who are going to live. So, and how this TOD, which is a new policy of land value capturing, can be made more inclusive. Because you are trying to bring a certain amount of community together closer to transport network. The pitfall of such development is going to be the high price in the land value. Like yesterday, Professor was mentioning about certain street, the Lawrence Street in Amritsar. Certain, and the moment the land value increases, so there is this. It becomes a kind of a gated community, and the poor living there. So how do you do that? And very critical review, very well critical review done about the DDA TOD policy, highlighting what is the aspects of affordable housing. One aspect of it, like many cities, like one where I come from in Ahmedabad, the only city development plan has also created something called RAH zone, Residential Affordable Housing Zone, which is an overlay zone along the transport corridor. There are states like Tamil Nadu, other states, they have a policy called inclusionary zoning. There are also country like South Africa, they also have a Cape Town, for example, city has an inclusionary zoning policy. Then any layout or any transit corridor that you are developing, a percentage of that must be kept for urban poor, because they need the transportation, access to transportation than anyone else, because rich will anyway drive. There are other global good examples such as Medellin and other. So this paper, Vinod and Dr. Kuldeep Singh, I see, you have highlighted, critically reviewed, and also provided very vital inputs, because many states as a national policy direction, many states are actually trying to develop their respective TOD policy. So once again, the big round of applause for Vinod and Dr. Kuldeep Singh for an excellent paper. So from finance to TOD to now we are now going to wetland pollution. So I'd like to invite speaker Manpreet Singh, Akshay Deep and Ritu Raj. So who is presenting?
Akash.
Okay, please come.
The pollution is always incorporated behind this because there are a lot of rush on the roads, there are a lot of activities like industrial, the factories that are going on, so that causes the pollutions. So this pollution not only affect the human life, but it also affect the environment, all the surroundings alongside it. So the urban area where the wetlands, where the settlements or the natural habitats are present there, so they are very badly affected by these pollutions. So Kanjli is a wetland that is, firstly to start with the definition of the wetland. Wetland is also called as the kidney of the earth because it provides a biological support to the flora and the inner country. So to start with, a wetland is an area that covered by a water body and have a highly biological, rich and fruitful, distant ecosystem. It not only bolsters the flora and fauna, but the process of the aeration that is very essential for the water bodies in the wetland. So that is also taken up here. So Kanjli wetland, it lies in the Kapurthala district of Punjab, and it is also one of the very important wetland out of the three wetlands. The first wetland is Harike, that is the biggest bird sanctuary in Punjab. Afterwards, there is a Ropar wetland, and it is at the third in regard to the size. So it is a man-made ecological site. It got its name from the Kanjli village that lies very near to the Kanjli wetland. Kanjli Lake, it is vital in the viewpoint of the ecological, and also it has a religious point of view because it is a tributary of the Kalibai, which is a holy river that is associated with Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Afterwards, it is the smallest wetland out of the three major wetlands which I have stated before. It's spread over an area of 490 hectares, out of which the catchment area that catches the river water or the rainwater is 183 hectares. It is declared as a wildlife conservative reserve in 2019 by the state government. This was declared because there are the many loopholes, there are the many flaws that has undergone at the wetland, like that are also discussed in other slides. But I want to spread a light on this, like the 50% of the birds who are the migratory birds have clipped their wings. Total 250 prestigious wildlife species are there, out of which many species belong to aquaflora. There are different species of birds, animals and other medicinal herbs. To begin with the history, so it came into existence after the construction of a head regulator at the Beas or the Kali river. Afterwards, a tributary has created by it that flow through the villages that are also mentioned in the other slide. So the Kapurthala is the main region where the Kanjli lake flows and all the wetland has developed. It is declared a Ramsar site in February 2002. So it is here to clarify that what is Ramsar. Ramsar is a city in the Iran. There was a agreement was signed between the all the nations that to conserve our natural sources and so on. So afterwards, there are many wetlands, or also there are many natural habitats that were listed out for the conservation. So Punjab has the three wetlands that are national or the Ramsar sites, Harike, Ropar and then the Kanjli wetland. So this site, the site number of also mentioned, that is in the Ramsar site. It is also announced as a national wetland in 1988 by the Ministry of Forest and Environment. So this is a map of the country. This is this boundary depicts the wetland area, and the lake that is marked in the circle, that is the Kanjli lake. So it developed a Kanjli wetland. So there are many different type of species are there, like the 11 species of aquaflora, 90 species of birds, the fishes, and other medicinal herbs are also planted here. So the depth of Kanjli lake varies between 5 feet to 25 feet. The length of the lake is 2 to 2.5 kilometers. That flows through the different villages of the Kapurthala village. The lake covers an area of nearly 20 acres. The villages of the local planning area. So the wetland lies in the urban area, and the lake flows through the LPA, that is local planning area of the Kapurthala, that is also included in the master plan. So there are the native species of the trees that are planted here, like the Shatut, Jamun, Safeda, Babul, Dali Bear, that are native to the Punjab region. Talking about the birds, the ducks are the main migratory birds that came for the migration in their respective seasons. In the mammals, rabbit, injured hares, squirrels, etc., all are the migratory or animals. So pollution. To start with, in simple words, pollution is an introduction of harmful materials in the environment. The harmful materials are called pollutants. As we know that pollution has three types: air pollution, land pollution, and water pollution. So in this paper, I try to, with my co-authors, I try to cover the water pollution and air pollution majorly. So it is a very short but meticulous study about this. So to start with the water pollutions, there are two, for the irrigation purposes or the other purposes, groundwater and both the surface water are utilized. In Kapurthala, there are two surface water bodies present. One is Wadala drain and other is the Kanjli drain. So the water of both the rivers are utilized for the irrigation purpose, and also there are some measures that used it for common purposes for there. So the main problem is that the location of the SDP, the sewage treatment plant, and the solid disposal, that is properly utilized, is very nearer to the Wadala drain, and the water of the Wadala drain is connected indirectly to the Kanjli lake. So the water of the when the water of the Wadala lake get polluted, so it also pollute the water of the Kanjli lake. So the aqua flora that is present in the Kanjli lake get harmful or bad effects. So there are 35 species of the fishes that were listed out that were dead during the because of this pollution, and the 42% of the town get affected by this polluted water. Other than this, the pollution affect the 100 feet in the deep of the land, and also 1 kilometer belt. So the buffer zone of this, so the buffer zone that affect the also affect the agriculture sectors and also affect the population is along the 1 kilometer of the belt. So there is also the water hyacinth that present there. Water hyacinth is like the like in the agriculture fields, we have the unnecessary weeds or the unnecessary plants that affect our agriculture. So these are also like that unwanted plants that affect or flow on the top of the river and affect the aquaflora population. So the samples were in our study. The samples were taken at the 7 locations from which the pH scale of different animals have taken. So these are the elements that were present in the lake. So there are some metallic elements, so the metallic pollutants were available in the lake that affected the flora and fauna. And due to this hyacinth, the biological or dissolved oxygen get reduced because the connection of the air and the water get cut down. So the process of aeration don't get proliferated. And it is also find out that Kanjli has 71.1% most of the pollutions. That is very much, that is very much higher than the Harike and the Ropar wetlands. So though the size of the Kanjli wetland is very small, but the effect of the pollution is very higher as compared to the other wetlands. So it is the burning of the residue from the rice crop and the wheat crop, which is depicted in there. So the Kanjli wetland is, it is surrounded by the agriculture fields. While burning of the residue, that is stubble burning, the important or the very prestigious weeds or the plants get also affected because of that fire. As there was a fight between the states like Delhi and Punjab and Haryana, that the stubble burning air, the air from the stubble burning affect the areas of the Delhi because the winds flow to the Delhi. But the state governments defend them that like I want to कि जैसे कि वो कहते हैं कि दिल्ली का जो हवा है वो इफेक्ट हो रही है पंजाब की जो और हरियाणा से जो स्टेबल बर्निंग हो रही है, तो अपने आप को डिफेंड करने के लिए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट कहती है कि हमारी हवा वहाँ तक नहीं जाती क्योंकि हमारा जो विंड फ्लो उधर की तरफ नहीं है। पर स्टेट गवर्नमेंट को क्या है कि वो एनालाइज नहीं करती कि अगर वो दिल्ली को इफेक्ट करती पर जो हमारे इंपॉर्टेंट वाइल्ड लाइफ जो इन्वायरमेंटल है जो स्टेटस रखते हैं तो उसको तो ज़्यादा अफेक्ट करेगी। सो कपूरथला एक ऐसी एग्जाम्पल है तो जिसमें जो वेटलैंड उसके आसपास में जो भी सराउंडिंग एरियाज में जो एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर है उससे जो हमारी वैल्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज है, वैल्यूएबल हमारे फ्लोरा फाउना है वो भी इफेक्ट हो रहे हैं। सो फॉर द कैलकुलेशन ऑफ द crop, the production of the Punjab state is taken for the calculation of the crop production and the residue burning. So these are the factors that were calculated. The 94% of the carbon is emitted from the rice residue and the 93% of the carbon is emitted from the wheat residue and the other carbon pollutants are also depicted in the table below. So this water pollution and the air pollution, the pollution from the kilns like the brick kilns that are also present in the urban areas. So there are 3 brick kilns that are depicted in this map that are available. So this brick kiln is very near to the Kanchli wetland. Due to this brick kiln, it affects the population of one population of an area that lie between the 1 kilometer of the area in the buffer zone. So from all these emissions, it is also mentioned here that the Kanchi wetland is highly affected from these. That is also depicted in this red box of the area that from the urbanized limit is affected from this. Other than this, 50% of the birds, the population of the birds that migrating to इस place बनाने के लिए promote करना है, पर ऐसा हो नहीं पाया क्योंकि वो जो भी एक इनकम आई है तो उसको ये स्पेंड अच्छी तरह नहीं कर पाए। और एक प्रोजेक्ट चला था 2009 में जिसमें कि ग्रीन स्पेसिस को और प्लांटेशन करनी थी। सो द फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ द स्टेट एंड द वाइल्ड लाइफ कंजर्वेशन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ द स्टेट वर इंक्लूडेड इन दिस। So in the initial state with the enthusiasm they have planted number of trees in the eagerness or in hurry, but there are some loopholes that remain there कि जैसे उन्होंने जल्दी में जैसे कहते हैं हम जल्दी का काम शैतान का, तो उन्होंने जल्दी में प्लांटेशन करने के चक्कर में एक फ्लोरा होता है जिसका नाम है लैंटाना जो हमारे पंजाब का नेटिव प्लांट नहीं है, उसको उन्होंने वहाँ पे प्लांट कर दिया जिसकी वजह से जो लेक में वो जिसको बूटी कहते हैं हाइसिंथ है वो वहाँ पे प्रोलिफरेट होगी, तो एरिएशन प्रोसेस होने की ना होने की वजह से और जो एक्वा फ्लोरा है वहाँ पे डैमेज हो गया। इसके अलावा वहाँ पे एक टूरिस्ट सिटी उसको टूरिस्ट प्लेस बनाने के लिए वहाँ पे इम्प्लीमेंट किया गया था कि इसको एक पिकनिक स्पॉट के लिए एक रिजॉर्ट बनाएंगे, जिसको भी इन्होंने बस इनिशियल स्टेज में एनकरेज किया, बाद में इसको दे हैव टेकन इट टू इन द बैक। सो इन द सजेशंस 10 to 20 feet walkway is proposed and also 4 to 5 kilometers of the tracks cycle track were also proposed, but the things is that they have not taken into account very seriously. So in this paper we have tried to give very cost effective or very brief or very quick fix type of the solutions, like we have to work on the Sichival project which is very successful, and also the success of this project can be analyzed that the people from the Ganga basin they came to the Punjab for this Sichival project to get the knowledge of this Sichival project. Though the implementation at the Ganga basins are not get to the ground, but the Sichival project is very popular because they have cleaned the holy Kalibai very efficiently. So and also in Amritsar we go to the Tarawala bridge where is Chapanar. They have made a walkway for the social cows, so that can be given on the Kanchli, and the way they have implemented that can be taken to the Kanchli wetland. So a buffer zone of 3 kilometers at the Kanchli and the Vitala drain, the buffer of the plantation, because plantation is a very afforestation is a very good way that can reduce the pollution and so on. So that can be implemented here. According to the Ministry of Environment and Forest, 33% of the total area of the wetland should be under the green cover. So at this time only the 15 12 to 50% of the area is under the green cover. So other area that is lacking the green cover, that can be covered with a plantation. And the one solution is that the location of the STP and the sewage treatment plant or the solid disposal site, that can be replaced at the other side of the MC. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And this is another very interesting paper on wetland pollution and also the importance of wetland for our overall ecosystem and pollution and how do you intervene. And this has been a case all across India. There are many such wetlands, and particularly wetlands with a close proximity to the urban area are more subject to encroachment and pollution level. And this paper comprehensively highlights the causes, also the implication. And regarding the solution, I would like to recommend the scholars and authors who have attempted also see some of the wetland management plan which are being attempted at Bhoj wetland or East Kolkata wetland. So there are 2-3 wetlands where some instrument such as green TDR or eco TDR options are being played. And again, for all this is the same what Harpreet was talking about. One of the major challenges, there are two major complexity in wetland management, is the institutional overlaps. Who is in charge? The multiplicity of the institution of managing wetlands. Okay, so that's one. And the second is that finance. Who is going to take up? In the name of wetland management, you'll see there are some cosmetic bicycle tracks and some sporadic visitors parkings are generally done, but it requires a sustained investment if you want to manage them. And even at the Ramsar status, they don't get access to fund. So that's the two area, but it's nonetheless is a very important effort. I compliment the authors for one more round of applause for them. Now we move to another very, very important and very relevant paper on disaster and mitigation in Joshimath, Chamoli district, Uttarakhand. I invite Pooja and Dr. Gusharan Kaur to for your presentation.